Thompson Buck is an associate attorney at Buck and Fish, not a bait shop. It is in fact a law office. Thompson practices in the areas of family law, domestic relations, probate, and adoption law. He holds a JD, an MBA, and a BA, lots of letters, all from Ohio State University, and he's lived, worked, or studied at a great number of locations across the globe, back to the traveling the globe. These include Oxford, England, not Oxford, Ohio, though I don't know, perhaps he's been to Oxford, Ohio. We're more interested in the Oxford, England version. Beijing, Shanghai, Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam, and Phnom Penh in Cambodia. So please welcome Mr. Thompson Buck.
So Netflix is a really hard act to follow, so I hope that my job doesn't bore you all to tears. Just tell me if it is, so that I know. My name is Thompson Buck. I'm an associate attorney at Buck and Fish. You've heard the areas in which I practice law. I attended law school and business school here at Ohio State, participating in the dual JD MBA degree program, and I studied history here during my undergrad studies. I spent 9 years here, so a very long time. I'm going to share with you 4 ways in which studying history during undergrad prepared me for my eventual career, which is in large part family law litigation. First, the mentor-mentee relationships that I had here in the history department directly prepared me for my career in law. Working with Professors Mansell Blackford and David Stebbin while writing my honors thesis, and meeting with Professor Blackford a couple of times per week for a year vastly improved my research and writing skills. Back then in 2011, again a long time ago, there was a noticeable difference. Having the input of Professors Blackford and Stebbin on my writing, including going through my thesis line by line with these 2 professors, truly developed my approach to writing, and writing is now a large part of my career practicing law. Second, my history major's emphasis on reading and analysis was good preparation for law school and for my eventual career. Reading and analyzing what felt like huge volumes of material, both in the introductory classes, such as my Welcome to the Major class, and in the advanced classes, such as the thesis tutorials, prepared me for the reading required for law school classes. Also, the historical research that I did for my thesis here and for my other classes is similar to the legal research that I do now as a part of my job. Third, and again, tell me if I'm boring you to tears. Third, the international focus of my classes in the history department prepared me for my career. I ended up taking a semester and a summer of law school abroad at the University of Oxford, along with working for 2 summers during law school in Beijing and semesters abroad during undergrad in Shanghai and in Ho Chi Minh City. The international focus of my history classes, my work experience abroad, and my educational experiences abroad exposed me to many cultures and viewpoints. This exposure to so many cultures positively shaped my career. Fourth, building personal relationships with professors positively affected my career. The one major takeaway from this short talk is that getting to know your professors will enrich your time here at Ohio State. The professors in the history department, including Professors Blackford and Stebbin, encouraged me to pursue the 2 most rewarding aspects of undergrad, writing my honors thesis and studying abroad. So now that we've discussed how the history major impacted my career, I'm going to change gears and discuss very quickly the LSAT and GMAT, which is no one's favorite topic. For both tests, I took lots of practice tests, and then either scored those by hand or used a testing center to score the tests. I then took some mini tests in the areas in which I needed to improve. For the LSAT, I also took a class from a large private company which was composed of lectures in the evenings practice tests, and access to a website that analyzed your results and gave recommendations. For the GMAT, I did not take a class, but I read a book called GMAT Cram Plan, and I needed all of that plan, every aspect of that plan. So finally, I'll discuss how I ended up in the areas of family law, probate, and adoption law. During law school and during some of the summers of undergrad, I was a law clerk in a local firm that practices in these areas. So over the course of years, I was exposed to these areas of law, and I started to speak the language as I would see pleadings and documents and would have conferences with the attorneys who supervised me. So sort of like how I described my mentor-mentee relationships earlier with Professors Blackford and Stebbin, I had attorneys directly supervising me at this firm and giving input. So what do I like about what I do for a living? I like the client contact involved in these areas of law. The areas that I practice in do involve writing, but there's a lot of client contact. So I like that I act as the client's mouthpiece, getting to know these clients and getting to understand their cases, and then representing the clients before a judge or a magistrate. In these areas of law, listening carefully and speaking with and understanding the clients are paramount. So my final point regarding the areas of law in which I practice is that I like to help people. Clients come to our firm with immediate problems that require counsel. And it feels good that at the end of the day, most days, I can say that I did something that helped someone in a tangible way. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope it wasn't too boring. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all. It's great to be back here. I think that I went to this event when I was in undergrad. So I hope you enjoy your time here at Ohio State and that you take advantage of all that the history department offers.
All right, thank you, Thompson. We've got a little time to ask Thompson questions. If any of you are interested in pursuing careers in the law, now's a great time. We have what I remember. You would sit in the back on the right by the door. Am I right? Yep, exactly. You'd always get that door. Now I got it. All right. Hey, yeah, please ask your question.
So you said that as a lawyer you do a lot of writing. Could you give me a couple examples of the kinds of things you typically write?
So early in a divorce case, we prepare what are called temporary orders affidavits. So that would be kind of like an essay that you would do for an upper level class here in the history department. So I would get a lot of information from the client, financial information and history of the marriage, etc. So I'd read all of that and I'd have it out on my desk and have it on my screens, and then it's almost exactly like your classes in your major. You take all of that and you process it, and then you write something that the magistrate will read, and then the magistrate will give an order based on your essay. So really it's very much like what you would do in a history class here.
Additional questions?
You talked about the rewarding nature of creating an honors thesis. How did you kind of figure out what topic you wanted to do?
So I have to sing the praises of Mansell Blackford. I think he's retired since I was here, but I took my intro to the major class with him. We had a project that was I think the whole semester you wrote a paper and did a presentation. And so I did mine on the history of Upper Arlington, Ohio, here in Columbus. And I remember going to Professor Blackford and I said, I'm thinking about an honors thesis, thinking about law school. I was hoping that an honors thesis would maybe take me out of the herd, a little bit, if you will, of law school applicants. So Professor Blackford, whom I got to know pretty well, he said, I'd love to supervise you, turn this history of Arlington piece into a long paper. I think it was, 50, 60 pages long, and worked with him for a year, met with him twice a week, and it was really rewarding, not only finishing the thesis and having that 50-page paper, but also getting to know Professor Blackford.
Additional questions?
Yep.
Do you think that in the end it did help with getting into law school to like have that thesis?
I'll be totally honest with you. What I think helped was, as I said in like the talk, getting to know the professors, because I honestly think that when I approached the professors that I approached, they knew who I was. I've been in and out of their offices. I assumed that law schools like to see theses, but I really think that getting to know the professors, having a recommendation letter that was specific to me, you know, and I felt like I knew Blackford and Stebbin really well by the end of the year plus that I worked on the thesis.
Briefly, I can affirm that you know, some of our courses are pretty small, some of them are really large, and if you have an experience with a professor that you really enjoy the course, but there are a lot of students there, take the opportunity to come to office hours so that we know who you are. Being able to personalize our letters of recommendation, it's really helpful, specifically really for you in terms of the people who are on the other end of that letter of recommendation. They're reading then what our impressions are of your personal qualities. It really does matter. Additional questions about pursuing law degree, the utility of the history major as it applies? Oh, I have one.
Okay.
What'd you think when you showed up in China? It must have been a bit of a shock. You're studying with two Americanists over there. I'm assuming that you didn't have a minor in Chinese language and literature.
I have no language at all. I did a semester at Fudan in Shanghai, and it was through OIA here at Ohio State, through the Office of International Affairs. It was amazing. Like, it changed me forever. My charades are really good because I'd be like, I need a razor. They're like, I want an orange to eat. But I loved it. I loved it. Go abroad. I spent a ton of time abroad during undergrad. So, thank you all.
Great.